The Invitation. Sophia Walsh wiped flour-dusted hands on her apron, surveying the gleaming countertops of Whisked Away, the patisserie she had opened just 3 months ago. Early morning sunlight streamed through the windows, catching on copper mixing bowls and illuminating the display case where her signature lavender macarons waited for the day's customers. "Perfect timing," she murmured, removing a tray of raspberry tartlets from the oven. The sweet aroma filled the space, mingling with the scent of freshly brewed coffee. At 30, Sophia had finally found her footing after the collapse of her engagement to Nathan Cole last year. The memory still stung, his gradual withdrawal, the missed dates, the hollow excuses, and finally discovering messages to other women. She had poured all that hurt into perfecting her craft, transforming pain into the delicate pastries that now drew crowds from across the city. "These look divine," said Mia, Sophia's assistant, entering through the back door. "Birthday preparations still on for Saturday?" Sophia nodded, tucking a strand of chestnut hair behind her ear. "Just finalizing the menu. I'm thinking champagne, those mini chocolate soufflés everyone loves, and maybe something with seasonal berries." "Your first birthday celebration post-Nathan deserves to be spectacular," Mia declared, sorting through mail she'd collected. "Oh, speaking of which..." She hesitated, holding out a cream-colored envelope. Sophia recognized the handwriting immediately, elegant, slightly slanted. Nathan's. Her stomach tightened as she opened it, revealing an RSVP card for her birthday gathering, which she had sent to mutual friends weeks ago. "He's coming?" Mia's voice reflected Sophia's own disbelief. "Apparently." Sophia fought to keep her voice steady. "With a +1. The bell above the door jingled, announcing their first customer. Sophia tucked the card away, forcing a smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. Throughout the day, as she folded meringue into batter and piped delicate rosettes onto cupcakes, Sophia's thoughts kept returning to Nathan. Why come now after months of silence? The birthday celebration at her cafe was meant to symbolize her fresh start, not reopen old wounds. That evening, her friend Zoe arrived for their weekly wine night, finding Sophia staring at the RSVP card. "Burn it," Zoe suggested, uncorking a bottle of Merlot. "Or better yet, tell him to stay away." Sophia shook her head. "That would show him he still affects me." "He does affect you," Zoe pointed out gently. "Not anymore," Sophia insisted, though her trembling hands betrayed her. "I'm curious, that's all." "Well, I'll be there to run interference," Zoe promised. "And Leo confirmed he's coming too." "Leo Mercer? From Bookmark?" Sophia asked, thinking of the quiet, thoughtful man who owned the bookshop next to her patisserie. He often brought her coffee in the mornings and stayed to discuss recipes and novels while she prepared for opening. "He specifically asked if you'd mind," Zoe said with a knowing smile. Something warm fluttered in Sophia's chest, momentarily displacing her anxiety about Nathan. "Of course I don't mind," she replied, surprised at how much the thought of Leo's presence comforted her. "The more friendly faces, the better." As they clinked glasses, Sophia made a silent promise to herself. Regardless of Nathan's intentions, this birthday would indeed mark a new beginning. She just hadn't realized yet exactly what form that beginning might take. Bitter taste. Sophia's cafe transformed beautifully for the evening celebration. String lights twinkled above tables adorned with fresh flowers, and trays of her exquisite pastries circulated among smiling guests. She wore a burgundy dress that complemented her olive skin, and for the first time in months, she felt genuinely proud of all she'd accomplished. "This place is magical," said Leo, appearing beside her with 2 champagne flutes. The bookstore owner looked different outside his usual habitat, his dark curls tamed, navy blazer replacing his typical cardigan. "You've created something extraordinary here." "Thank you," Sophia replied, accepting the champagne. Their fingers brushed, and she noticed how his eyes, warm and attentive, lingered on hers. "I'm glad you could come." "I wouldn't miss it," Leo said simply. He seemed about to add something when Sophia's smile froze. Nathan had arrived. He stood in the doorway, scanning the room with the confident posture she once found charming. Beside him was a willowy blonde whose hand rested possessively on his arm. They made a striking couple, Nathan in his tailored suit and the woman, presumably his plus one, in a sleek silver dress that caught the light with every movement. "That's him?" Leo asked quietly, following her gaze. Sophia nodded, suddenly grateful for Leo's steadying presence. Nathan spotted her and steered his companion through the crowd. "Sophia! Happy birthday!" he called, voice carrying across conversations. Heads turned as he approached. "Nathan," she acknowledged, keeping her tone neutral. "Thank you for coming." "This is Victoria," he introduced. "Victoria, the famous Sophia." Victoria offered a practiced smile. "Nathan talks about you sometimes. Your place is cute." The condescension wasn't subtle, but Sophia refused to rise to it. "Please enjoy yourselves. The raspberry tartlets are particularly good tonight." Throughout the evening, Nathan's voice seemed to grow louder with each glass of champagne. He positioned himself and Victoria at the center of attention, regaling Sophia's friends with stories of his recent promotion, their luxury vacation in Bali, their plans for the future. "Victoria's family has connections in the restaurant industry," Nathan announced as Sophia passed by their table with a tray of fresh pastries. "We're looking at spaces for a high-end dining concept. Much larger scale than this, of course." Victoria laughed, a tinkling sound that grated on Sophia's nerves. "Nathan has such ambitions. We're thinking of locations in Manhattan, maybe even Miami." "How exciting," Sophia managed, though her cheeks burned. Later, as she escaped to the kitchen for a moment of peace, Sophia overheard Nathan through the partially open door. "She's doing well enough with this little bakery thing," he was saying, "but you should have seen her when we were together. Completely different person, more ambitious, more polished. I sometimes think I brought out the best in her." Victoria's murmured response was inaudible, but Nathan continued. "The irony is, I outgrew what we had, but she's still exactly where I left her." Sophia's hands trembled as she set down a tray of champagne glasses. Through the kitchen window, she caught sight of Leo watching Nathan with narrowed eyes. When Leo noticed her, his expression softened into concern. Gathering her courage, Sophia returned to the party, a calm resolve replacing her earlier discomfort. She'd allowed Nathan to cast a shadow over her celebration for long enough. Sweet revenge. The evening had reached that perfect moment when conversations flowed freely and laughter came easily to everyone, except Sophia. Nathan's presence had grown increasingly disruptive as he loudly announced plans to propose to Victoria when the time is right, casting meaningful glances in Sophia's direction. "You two seem serious after just a few months," commented Zoe, who had positioned herself protectively near Sophia. "When you know," Nathan replied with practiced sincerity. Victoria and I connected on a much deeper level immediately. Some relationships just have that spark that others lack. Several guests shifted uncomfortably, aware of his thinly veiled reference to his previous engagement. Victoria beamed, oblivious to the undertones. "Speaking of knowing," Nathan continued, raising his voice slightly, "Victoria just landed a major client for her interior design business. We're celebrating her success tonight as well." Something in Sophia finally snapped. Not with anger, but with clarity. She approached their table, champagne in hand. "I'd like to make a toast," she announced, voice steady. Conversations quieted as guests turned toward her. "To Nathan and Victoria. May your relationship be built on honesty and respect." Nathan's smile faltered slightly. "You know," Sophia continued conversationally, "when Nathan and I were together, he had a particular habit of rewriting history. He'd promise one thing, do another, then convince everyone, including himself, that his version was the truth." The room grew still. "Victoria, did Nathan mention he was still sending me messages asking to reconcile just 2 weeks before he met you?" Victoria's perfect composure cracked. "What? Or that the promotion he's so proud of was actually secured through connections my family provided?" Nathan's face darkened. "Sophia, this is hardly the time." "It's exactly the time," she replied calmly. "You came to my birthday celebration to showcase your new relationship and diminish what I've built. But here's what you don't understand, Nathan. I'm not where you left me." I'm somewhere you never imagined I could reach without you." She gestured around the cafe. "Every recipe, every design choice, every business decision, all mine. And unlike our relationship, this success isn't built on lies." Victoria stood abruptly. "Nathan, is this true? About the messages?" Nathan's attempt at damage control was painful to watch. "She's exaggerating. It was just friendly checking in. I have them saved," Sophia stated simply. "Along with the ones to Rebecca and Jen while we were engaged." The color drained from Nathan's face as Victoria gathered her purse. "I think we should go," Victoria said coldly. As they made their awkward exit, Sophia felt a gentle touch on her elbow. Leo stood beside her, quiet support radiating from him. "That," he said softly, "was magnificent." The party resumed with renewed energy, guests rallying around Sophia. Rather than feeling embarrassed by the confrontation, she felt lighter, as though the last remnants of Nathan's influence had finally fallen away. Later, as the celebration wound down, Leo helped her collect empty glasses. "I've wanted to ask you something for months," he confessed, arranging dessert plates with careful precision. "But the timing never seemed right." "And now?" Sophia asked, suddenly aware of how close they were standing in the quiet kitchen. "Now I'm wondering if you might like to have dinner sometime." "Not here," he added with a smile. "Somewhere you don't have to do the cooking." The warmth that spread through Sophia had nothing to do with the kitchen's heat. "I'd like that very much," she answered, realizing with surprise that it was true. For the first time in over a year, the prospect of dating someone didn't fill her with dread. Leo's genuine smile, nothing like Nathan's practiced charm, made her heart skip. As their fingers brushed over a stack of napkins, Sophia recognized the feeling washing over her, possibility, rising heat. 3 weeks after her birthday celebration, Sophia found herself standing outside Leo's bookstore after hours, heart fluttering with anticipation. Their first 2 dates had been comfortable yet exciting. Dinner at a hidden Ethiopian restaurant Leo discovered, followed by a Sunday morning farmers market excursion where they'd sampled artisanal cheeses and debated the merits of various heirloom tomatoes. Tonight was different. Leo had invited her to his apartment above Bookmark for homemade dinner. She knocked, balancing a box of pastries she'd created specifically for the evening, dark chocolate truffles infused with orange blossom. Leo opened the door, kitchen towel slung over his shoulder. "Perfect timing," he said, eyes brightening at her arrival. "The risotto just finished resting." His apartment was exactly as she'd imagined. Walls lined with overflowing bookshelves, comfortable furniture arranged for conversation, and large windows overlooking the tree-lined street. What surprised her was the collection of vibrant paintings adorning the spaces between shelves. "These are beautiful," Sophia said, examining a landscape of rolling hills beneath a stormy sky. "I didn't know you collected art." Leo set down her pastry box and approached, standing close enough that she could smell the subtle scent of his cologne. "I paint them, actually. Just a hobby. A hobby," she echoed, studying the brushwork with newfound appreciation. "Leo, these are extraordinary." A flush colored his cheeks. "Nothing like creating something people can taste, but it satisfies something in me." The revelation of this hidden talent made Sophia feel as though she was peeling back layers of Leo she hadn't known existed. In the 3 months they'd been neighbors, sharing morning coffees and book recommendations, she'd never suspected this depth of creativity. Dinner was served at a small table positioned by the window, candlelight casting warm shadows across their faces. Leo poured wine as they discussed their respective days, a demanding custom order for Sophia, a rare first-edition acquisition for Leo. "I've been meaning to ask," Sophia said, twirling risotto on her fork. "What made you open a bookstore?" Leo considered the question. "I was in publishing for years, good salary, corner office, constant stress. One day I realized I was surrounded by books but never actually read anymore." His eyes found hers across the table. "I wanted to create a space where people could slow down and remember why they loved reading in the first place." "You gave up security for passion," Sophia observed. "Just like you did with your patisserie." Leo's hand reached for hers, fingers intertwining. "That's what drew me to you initially." watching you pour your heart into those pastries, seeing your face when customers appreciated your art. The air between them shifted as his thumb traced gentle circles on her palm. When Leo leaned forward to kiss her, Sophia met him halfway. Unlike the hesitant goodnight kisses that had ended their previous dates, this one deepened, carrying the heat they'd been carefully containing. His hands framed her face with reverence, but the intensity in his touch spoke of barely restrained desire. "I've wanted to do that properly since your birthday," Leo confessed, breathless as they parted. "What took you so long?" Sophia asked, surprised by her own boldness as she stood, pulling him toward the couch. Hours later, tangled in Leo's sheets, Sophia traced the contours of his chest with wondering fingers. The transition from friends to lovers had felt astonishingly natural, his attentiveness in conversation extending to the way he discovered what made her gasp with pleasure. The patience in his daily interactions reflected in how he'd slowly built her toward release. "What are you thinking?" Leo asked, pressing his lips to her shoulder. "That you're nothing like anyone I've been with before," she admitted. In the comfortable darkness, she could voice thoughts that daylight might have kept hidden. With Nathan, intimacy always felt like a performance. "With you, it feels like coming home." Leo gathered her closer, his heartbeat steady against her back. "I think that's the nicest thing anyone's ever said to me." As sleep began to claim her, Sophia realized that for the first time since her engagement ended, she'd gone an entire evening without a single thought of Nathan. The space he'd occupied in her mind had been quietly, completely filled with something infinitely better.